And welcome back to another Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series as well as the Umbani Chronicles. And I am joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is a fellow author of Adalithia, Alindo, and Almond Tree's Magic. There will be links to her link tree and books and all that if you're interested in her creative endeavors. And we are also joined by Jocelyn Short.
Hey.
She is a concept artist and illustrator, creator of Bearers. She's done some concept work for me. She's also working on some pretty awesome covers for other people. Present company included. Spoiler alert. We're here today to talk about Acolyte, episode 3, Destiny. Um, so if you have not watched at least the first 3 episodes, please recuse yourself from viewing our live stream and watch it and come catch the audio on Spotify podcasting. I'll go through basically parts of my breakdown and we'll stop and discuss as we usually do. So we open on Brecton, whatever the hell the home planet is that they're on, that the girls grow up on, May and Osha. So we're finally getting this inciting event that we were talking about last week. Before I get into it, Jocelyn, was the inciting event compelling? That's an answer in itself. The fact you stopped and went,
Kind of, and kind of not. It's like middling.
Yeah, it's incomplete.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So we first open up with Osha taking some time to herself by the bunta tree and Forrest holding some little jellyfish butterfly thing, and then May creeps up on her and starts doing the same thing but harsher, I guess. And Osha didn't like that, and we find out that they live in some fortress on this planet, and Mother Coral, who is a Zabrak, the same species as Darth Maul from Phantom Menace. But since she doesn't have the red and black skin, she's got the geometric tattoos and the vestigial horns on her head. And so she basically tells them they need to get back inside because it's too dangerous. And the girls are discussing this ascension that they're supposed to be going through later, and one wants to do it, the other one doesn't. And then at the tail end, we see Master Soul creeping, watching them from a distance in the forest. So, which I found was kind of weird. After them kind of going back and forth about the ascension, Mother Coral, and then we see once they get inside, asking for some spice creams, whatever the heck that is, some Star Wars treat, ice cream cookie type treat, and Mother Coral's like, little girls that run away don't get to have no treats. And then we get Mother Anasea. What do you guys think of Mother Anasea when she first pulled up?
She's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious. Absolutely stunning. That was my first impression.
She reminded me, I don't know if you guys have watched Arcane.
Yeah, yes.
But
yes.
That's who she reminded me of. The black lady with the locks in Arcane in that show reminded me of Mother Anasea. Andrea, you look confused.
I've only seen like the first 2 or 3 episodes of Arcane.
Okay.
So
the character he's talking about is, I think her name is Mel in Arcane.
And I just remember the little sister with the blue hair being very annoying. And then I stopped when it jumped being older. So yeah.
You gotta oh my god.
But I thought the mom was real. I thought the mother was really pretty, really beautiful as well. But I felt like, I was like, oh, when I saw her, I was like, oh, so we in a cult. We in a different type of cult. Like, so we have like, I was like, oh, okay, I see where we are. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, you're beautiful and everything, but you know.
Well, yeah, I was wondering what direction they were going initially when she mentioned coven, because I've only heard it mentioned in witches and I've only heard it mentioned in a coven of vampires. So I was like, ooh, what are we doing here? And like, okay, so we got a coven of witches, and I started looking around. Did you see any males at all in the background? I did not. I didn't see any. Okay. We got a coven of witches, and Mother Coral and Mother Anastasia are not exactly in agreement in how they're dealing with the girls as they grow up. And Coral thinks she's too lenient on them.
She is.
And she's like, let them, they're just kids, and she's exploring boundaries. Let kids be kids, basically. They're just normal kids. And then we get the first hint, as Mother Coral says, the twins are not normal. So there's something going on with them. Then we see they go to like some little class, and this is what people are all up in arms about, I guess, online. The Force is a thread that connects all living things. And so it's kind of weird that she makes that statement. And it really isn't all that far from what we get from Obi-Wan in episode 4, which I don't see why people are up in arms about it, because he says the Force is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. So that's not too far from what she said, because she's saying if you pull on one end of the thread, other things are affected by it. And she also complains about people seeing it as the Force, and the Force is not to be wielded. And I thought this was ironic, because then like next moment she's literally wielding the Force to float like a ball. Yeah, and then they're going back and forth with this like Force strength test. So they're using it. And then they have this little mantra: the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. And I guess Ascension is supposed to let the girls experience the power of the many, which they're supposed to do later that evening. Osha's like, and this is a common thing. I don't know how many sets of twins you guys know, but I've met quite a few. And there are some that like we dress alike, do the same things, go the same places. And there are others that I've met that are absolutely ones like, look, I need my own. I don't want to be doing this forever. I think they're supposed to be like 8 years old at this point, and Osha's are like, look, I'm tired of this. I want my own life. I want to see the galaxy. I want to see the universe outside of Brendock.
I have to say, I was so frustrated that it took so long for us to get Osha's why as to why she was feeling, like discontent. I was frustrated because I was like, why is no one asking her? Like, people are looking at her frustration and just brushing it off or getting annoyed with it. And I'm like, can someone talk to her and ask her what she's feeling? And I was just really irritated by that. It took so long for, and it just.
But why would they? Because they're living in a paradise that they believe is the best place in the world. So
yeah, I understand.
She is the problem.
Absolutely.
Yes. Because I peeped the same thing, and I was getting so annoyed with everyone else. And I was like, can you just leave the girl alone? Leave her alone. Give her like 10 minutes of you not forcing your beliefs down her throat for like 10 seconds.
Right.
Just 10 seconds. And they're never going to ask her how she feels, because she is supposed to be cherishing all of this because they love it and they see nothing wrong with it. Not to say there is anything wrong with it, but they see nothing wrong with it. So for her to rebel is, why are you rebelling against our beliefs, our love?
For sure. She's a direct challenge to everything familiar, comfortable, and correct.
And so you don't embrace that. You squash that out.
Yeah.
To your twin comment, Rod, I do know I have met a couple twins in my life. And for the most part, they did their things together. Like, they would dress similarly, but never the same colors. And they had their own identity. So I'm thankful that the twins that I have come into contact with, were not obsessed with each other. Their families.
Yeah. I think that's where most of it comes from, is the families. I'm gonna dress them the same and all that. Yeah.
It's like, nah, it's okay. But yeah, most of the twins, actually no, all of the twins I have met have had very healthy sibling relationships, to where they had other best friends who they went on vacations with instead of their
Mm.
siblings. I was like, nah, we do our own thing. I'm happy for you. I love you. If anyone comes for you, I got you. But we're gonna do separate things. And I think that is such a healthier type of sibling relationship than
Yeah.
what May is trying to force Osha. And
Yeah.
I don't believe in hitting children, but May, you're testing that.
Yeah. So they're talking about, they go to this ascension ceremony, the Coven of Witches, and they seem to be using the power of the eclipse, I guess, to magnify their power. And they're magnifying their power more to them. Just so there's more to them, as my note says. There's more to them than just the Force, because they're using the environment, the moon, the eclipse, and everything, all in combination as a part of their rituals and ceremony. You hear Mother Anastasia says they haven't performed this ceremony since being exiled. They've been hunted and forced into hiding, and they're considered darksiders, which is why they're being persecuted for their use and perception of the Force. But they've been blessed.
The Force differently than me.
Yeah, but they've been blessed with the gift of life, and I have a question mark by that, because I'm like, is it really a blessing if it's something that you've forcibly done? It's not like it's, to me, a blessing just comes on its own, whereas they obviously manipulated things to do this.
So
And
they did question. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
They did something. I guess it was like loose around that part for me. So was the twins' creation like immaculate conception kind of?
Kind of. Basically, what it is because they talk about that too when they were arguing over who should have power over the kid, because apparently Mother Coral carried them, carried the twins, but Mother Anastasia comes back and like, I created them. So they did something with, and this is another thing that some folks are upset about, because it basically, in some people's eyes, doesn't make Anakin as special, because he was supposed to be the immaculate space baby Jesus that was born from the Force with no father. That's Shmi. So this is the same thing, but they manipulated it. But I see it as a precursor, possibly, to how Anakin was made, with Palpatine and some other people doing things with the Force, but from a distance. So I'm thinking like maybe they learned it because there was an example of how to do it hundreds of years earlier by these witches. Yes, she says we're blessed with the gift of life. They bring out May and Osha. They do their little dance and song as the ceremony progresses. And May has no hesitation at all. She's like, I do.
She drank the Kool-Aid.
She drank the Kool-Aid quick. And she gets her marking, and then Osha is interrupted. There's something else I was forgetting about this here.
But it's that marking that is what gave her away.
Yes, because Soul noticed it. He's like, this morning it wasn't there. And they're like, you've been spying on us? And he's like, well, yeah, I was in the woods.
No, but I mean, like, that's how the Jedi, because last episode, I was like, somehow the Jedi knew when she saw the girl's forehead that it wasn't Osha.
Yeah, Indara, because she says you. Yeah.
So I was right. She recognized her. She knew it was not Osha. If she knew it was May.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. Because when the hair falls back, she realizes, she's like, you. Cousin Osha.
Interesting, I was listening to Mother Anastasia. She says, what the thread has tied together, no one can separate, which is funny because that's a take on actually a verse from the Bible, Mark 10:9. What God has joined together, no man can separate. So, yeah, I've heard two different people. So shouts out to Demetrius Holt and shouts out to Fantastic Frankie, because I heard them initially saying this was basically a commentary on police brutality. But I think, Andrea, what we were talking about earlier before we started recording, it's more relative to religious persecution.
Yeah.
And them not being able to run things with the Force the way everybody else is. Because the Jedi, we find out Osha's whole name is Virosha. Because he tried to make her say the little whatever the I do part is, and she's like, "Quest I do," and then they get interrupted. The Jedi hack have sliced in. Uh,
But
interestingly, go ahead.
I was like, but going back to the what the thread has, what's connected by the thread cannot be separated. That line,
Yeah,
they were not connected because Osha never finished. Only May was had a little signal, this thing on her head.
yeah.
Osha did not, so they were not connected. I mean,
Even
they're
before
twins,
that, yeah, even
but
before that, yeah. There's a lack of connection between the two of them.
mm-hmm.
Mother Anastasia. The interesting enough, Mother Anastasia says no violence in order for them to put their weapons down. So I don't know if she was just playing a political game or whether she really believed it.
Or she's probably now this I can definitely understand towards the police brutality part
Yeah,
of they're expecting violence. Don't give them what they're expecting
yeah,
because they already think we're wrong. Do not give them another reason to don't give them a reason to prove them right and to call into more reinforcements because if you never attack them, you're not a danger. But the moment you raise to attack, they can say, "Oh, everything else was in self-defense,"
yeah,
and don't give them that opening, which is sort of not fair. It's like, why do I have to control myself to make sure you control yourself?
yeah.
You're an adult. Hold
She
it together.
ignores that a little bit later, though, like not that long. Indara and Sol, ironically, invoke the authority of the Republic concerning the training of children. This is the part where I was like, this shows the Jedi in like a bad light. Like
It does.
we know you got some kids up here. Like we're the only ones allowed to train children in the Force. No one else can do it, and we're the sanctioned Force
How
training.
dare you worship differently than me? How dare you worship the same thing differently than me? That's all I'm hearing in this episode.
Yeah. And they tell this bold-faced lie, like there are no kids here, and then you hear Kelnaka like gurgle growl, you know what Wookiees do when they're speaking Shuri Wook. He senses the children, and Indara asks them to come out, and of course, Osha comes out bright and early. She comes out with no hesitation, and then after Moms gives her the nod when Indara says, "Can we see your sister?" and she's all but too happy to snitch on May, like pointing her out, like, May, come on down. The price is right.
Crazy. I was like, oh my God, you're an op right now. Like, chill out a little bit.
But does that not showcase how much she wants to get away?
Oh, for
and
sure.
I think, and it's like her mom is seeing it. Everyone is seeing it because her mom's like, sit down, don't say anything. And this girl does immediately starts talking.
There's everything absolutely the opposite.
She does not want to be a part of this community.
Yeah.
And like the more they try to hold on to her, the more she is fighting. We saw when she was even getting ready beforehand, when she was drawing and May wanted to be a part of it. And she was like, could you just let me have something that is mine?
Yeah.
She also said something interesting. She was just like, we're the only children here.
Yeah. That's not normal.
Yeah. It's not normal, but that would also be enough to drive me insane. Like, there's no other kids, and we only answer to these adult women to do what they ask us to do. Like, I've already had enough.
Yeah. So Osha comes out and snitches on May, and then Indara asks, like, where's their daddy at? And Mother Anastasia is like, there is no father. And you see a weird look come on to Master Soul's face, but he doesn't really say anything. And then I'm like, my boy is tempting kids with lightsabers? Like, here, this little toy. You want to play with this little girl? He pulls out his lightsaber.
That was very crazy. It felt a lot like I got some cookies in the van.
Yeah.
But also, it's sort of like straight up disrespectful. Like, these Force Witches don't want anything to do with you, and you are just like openly flaunting your authority to do whatever you want to do in front of them. So while I want Osha to have the life that she wants, y'all just being so disrespectful in such a polite way that it's like, come on.
Yeah.
And with authority, technically, because if the planet is not a part of the Republic, with authority, they don't technically have. They're just there. And so Mother Anastasia has enough, and she just takes over Padawan Torben through saying his eyes go black. He falls on his knees, and they're like, "What in the heck is going on?" And they're like, "Look, y'all need to leave right now." And Dara obviously is not worried, and she's stubborn. She claims a right to test with your permission, of course, which I thought was kind of oxymoronic. Because, like, if you have a right to something, then you don't need anyone else's permission to it. It's your right to have that thing. I guess you're trying to soften the blow by saying, you know, we have a right to test for Padawans. And then she's like, at the end, with your permission, of course. Like, nah, you trying to strong arm my girls away is basically what you're doing. And so they finally, she lets Torben go, and they agree to meet the next day at midday. And the Coven of Witches go to have a little powwow, talk about it. And I was laughing because Mother Coral is ready to get down, like right now. Look, we should strike now while the moon is high. Our power is at its height. We
It's
can
only
blast
4 of
these
them.
fools. Yeah, it ain't but 4 of them. Who's gonna miss them? And the others are obviously in fear of Republic retribution. And she's like, look, I'm not letting my girls go to these deranged monks. I was hollering when she called them deranged monks.
She said, listen, I'm finna bust a move. Y'all need to get with it. Y'all need to hurry up and get on board.
Yeah. So they have the OG witch that tells them, hey, look, it's a pass and fail test. All we got to do is get the girls to just fail the test. And that's what that's the plan they set forth. They ask the girls to fail. And that obviously works for one, doesn't work for the other.
And I just have to say, I really hated that scene because for a moment I thought the mother was putting her daughter first, and then she wasn't. It was like, you all see how miserable this girl is, and you do not care. Like, you just don't care that she has actively tried to get away from you guys as often as she possibly can, and you're doing more, and you're making her be a part of keeping her trapped in what you want for her, not necessarily the path she wants for herself. Regardless if you agree with the path, I was getting really frustrated. I was like, oh, just dip.
What's interesting here is I'm not really a fan of both sides in this particular situation. Because obviously May goes in and fails on purpose. Osha goes in, tries to fail at first, and gets tricked into. Basically, I feel like Master Soul was pressuring her, like she's pressuring little kids, and then she comes back and tells everybody what she did. Obviously, May is heated, and she runs off. And the mom, she's like, "It's the right thing to do." And they were arguing over who's good and who's bad. And then the Mother Anastasia is like, "It's not about who's good or who's bad. It's about power and who's allowed to use it." So she's thinking, yeah, that if you go with them, they'll allow you to use it, but only if you use it in the ways that they prescribe, obviously. And like, here's my note agrees with Andrea here. The thread analogy didn't work because she asked Osha, if you want to go ahead and pull on that thread, you can do it, and she's gonna pull on that thread. But she's like, I must discuss your decision with everyone else, and we'll see what we're gonna do. We see May come up to the bedchamber where Osha is, and she locks her in and starts a fire. Osha slices and hacks out of the room. I noticed here, because I watched it another time today, there was a rumble, and there are many voices that gasp, but we don't see what that rumble is. What blew the power core? There's still unanswered questions. We get the inciting event, but there's some unanswered question. Osha and May face off with the gap between them, and I could look and see bodies in the corridor, but none of them look burned. So May falls. Osha gets barely caught by Saul. They run past the bodies, and at first I didn't see Mother Anastasia or Coral, but until they're right about to leave, and you see Mother Anastasia's body. Only because she was laying on the side, and I could see her hair, and I could see her laid out. But again, she's not burned. Osha wakes up in a Jedi ship. Did y'all peep Torben when they get back on the ship initially when Osha wakes up? He looks
Padawan?
Yeah, he looks freshly scarred there. He wasn't scarred before. But you look at remember we were talking about the crazy hairline, the scars. You see the old Master Torben. He looks freshly scarred over his eye, like it just happened. Whatever his scars were that we see later on, it had just happened. And then it's like this weird, my notes say forced trauma bond ? With Soul as he's consoling her or trying to console her. And he's like, we need to. She's like, we need to go back. And he's like, we can't. She's like, we must. And he's like, I'll make sure you never feel like this again. And if you wish, you'll be trained as my Padawan. And that's a weird, like, he's trying to bond with her over this trauma of losing her everybody she had known and cared about in an instant. And then at the end, we open with May sitting by the bunta tree, the poisonous bunta tree on that planet. But still, there are, like, I'm hoping we get multiple. I'm hoping we get this event again, but strictly from May's perspective to find out what, because we still don't know what the Jedi did.
So I will possibly maybe pick up my face, eat my words, take my foot out my mouth from last episode. So last episode, I had said that I think the Jedi accidentally did all of this, and that's why May is trying to kill everyone. Mm-hmm. But now seeing how May was in this episode, I just believe that the Jedi came for Osha because she passed the test, and May still views them as the people, as the reason why her family's dead. Because if May started the fire,
okay,
she almost killed her twin. She was very creepy. She was very creepily attached to her sister.
Yeah.
To the point where if your sister tries to leave, whoever's aiding her in leaving is the problem, not her, not May. Everyone who's aiding her and leaving her is the problem.
Yeah.
So the only like hiccup to this is why would the master drink the poison off the like jump? Why would it be like why would he feel guilty about that? There may have been like a battle and a fight to get Osha that the mother was like, hey, I'm gonna let my daughter go, and they were like, no, you can't let her go. And there could have been a battle, and he felt guilty that all of them died with them trying to get Osha. But I definitely believe May is the reason behind this. I'm changing. I could be wrong again. But I'm changing that May is blaming them for her family's death, even though she probably lit the fuse that started the fire. Well, she did light the fuse that started the fire. So it's her fault, but she can't see it's her fault because in her mind, the right thing was to stay with her sister.
Yeah, I think they Jim Jones themselves. Y'all too young. Y'all looking at me.
No, I know what that is. I'm trying to see. I don't see.
There's no burns. There's no lightsaber.
I definitely
on them.
I feel like I see what you're getting at, Rod. Mm-hmm. I feel like that too a little bit. Like maybe they, I don't know what they did, stop their heartbeats or something, to fake their deaths. So they would have a real chance at getting away because the Jedi, as we know, survived that blast. And it appears that all the women didn't, but I think it probably is beneficial for them to act like they did not survive, so they had a chance to get away and like recoup and re-strategize. So maybe they'll come back full force later on in the season somehow, and also maybe to give the girls a chance to figure themselves out, kind of get away from all of this from both of them. Yeah. I don't know, that it could be a reach. I don't know.
Yeah, I just know nothing looked to be burning. I mean, there were things burning, but not the whole entire place. You see the power core explode. You see bits and pieces burning, but it looks like mostly rock that whatever the structure was that they were living in, the whole entire, it wasn't like they were in a huge tree house and everything was just up in flames. But again, the bodies don't look like they were burned. They're sprawled out and laid down in different juxtapositions on the ground, but I don't see any lightsaber scorches. I literally would pause the screen and look at the bodies to see if I could see some evidence of, them getting sliced up by the Jedi, but I didn't see that.
So one of my theories on that one was they were trying to stop the power core from exploding and they failed. And it's the force from that like if they were all doing the force of many to try and save the thing and then it exploded and the force hit them full on back. Maybe that's how they died, from the concussive blast. That is what and when I say force, I don't mean Jedi force. I mean the actual force of the explosion.
Oh, that's hilarious. I thought like if they were doing this the force of many on the engine and it just blew up. You're trying to fix a
and they were trying
mechanical
to
problem with magic. It would have
save
been
it,
hilarious.
and they ended up dying instead. I thought, because the way they were all sprawled out, it looked like it was from a blast.
Yeah.
I also know that May be a little girl, but she can get these hands, because I don't believe in hitting kids. But May, you tried me so many times in this episode, and it was just like, how do you not see that you're crazy? But then crazy people don't really see that they're crazy. But this little girl,
when she picked up the lantern and stared into the flames,
I was very much, if I can't have you, no one can.
I also feel, I mean, yes, that too, but also I'm annoyed with both of their moms, because like one of them was like, yeah, you're being too lenient, but I also feel like even just saying that alone is still too lenient for May, because I'm like, why didn't y'all see this unchecked rage that she had? Why didn't y'all see this malice that she had inside of her?
They both failed those girls in separate ways. They were ignoring Osha's being miserable. They were ignoring her pain, and they were ignoring May's rage, because in their minds, we're giving them everything. And honestly, I agree. I forgot their names. Their mother with the dots in her head, the white dots. She was being way too lenient, and then their birth mom was right. They needed a forceful hand.
I mean, she sits there and basically turns her back on them as they're literally fighting each other behind her. She just folds her arm like, again with these two. You're not gonna stop them until she finally gets frustrated and force pushes them both to the ground. But yeah, she let them scrap.
They all failed. They all failed those two girls in different ways, because May needed help. May needed psychological help, because she had too much of an attachment. And even when the people were like, it was nice to see them doing their dreads and like rolling them before the ceremony and make them look really nice. But in that ceremony, when May and Osha were going back and forth, hey, by the way, so when we were doing the girls' hair, yeah, there's something going on right there. Maybe, just maybe, you guys should have a conversation with them before we go through this very important ceremony where we're linking them together, because that's not going to go over well. Like, we saw the awkward looks between them. Everyone can tell that there's something, and you're just all ignoring it for the betterment of yourselves, not for the betterment of these two girls. And that is why you're all dead.
Yeah, this was all background, very little action until the very end. I still enjoyed it. I'm interested to see where this goes, but they didn't give us the full event. I still need to know what the heck the Jedi did to feel guilty, why my boy just took the poison with no questions asked. He woke up out of his 10-year meditation in the force field to be like, yep, I've been waiting on this. Give me that poison. Thank you very much. Appreciate your forgiveness. You got to explain that.
What if it, you know what, it could be, I don't, maybe not, because and this could be a reach, because we really haven't seen anything lead to this, but this is just a theory. What if May has been kind of manipulated mentally by the Jedi kind of this whole time? And maybe they caused her to blow up everything. I don't know. Could be a reach. I could be reaching. I'm probably.
There are some crazy theories out there that think Master Saul is the Sith Lord, and that he's manipulating this from the background on purpose to get his own apprentice.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I feel like
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that.
It would tickle me if that was the direction that they were going, and if that is the direction, I hope they do that, because it would be so far away from the regular thing that they always do. But I'm not sure they're going to have the intestinal fortitude to actually do it, follow through with that being Disney.
I feel like
they just put Saw on Disney, so I don't know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, say your statement again.
I was saying, I don't know. They might. They just put Saw on Disney, so.
No, I don't need
Oh,
that.
the would you like to play a game, Saul?
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't need to watch those movies. I've never seen them.
Oh.
Will never want to see them. Never, 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 never. But so I forgot my thought.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how far they're going to take this. I'm still curious. I still wish I want the Sith perspective. Like I said, the title of the show is Acolyte, and we've seen very little of Acolyte. Go ahead, you got it.
I remembered my thought. So in any type of movie where two people were best friends or two people were siblings or two people were like the chosen ones or whatever, and one has like walked away from their path and the other one embraced it and is super powerful, I really don't want to see. I'm just gonna want something I don't want to see is Osha having to fight to get the force again, to feel it, because she was strong. We saw her be able to use it, and then we saw her not being able to use it in episodes. I think episode 1 when she was trying to force the thing closer to her.
Yeah.
I would like to not see that she just miraculously can use the force when she has to go up against her sister.
I'm wondering.
I know it's probably going to happen. I just don't want to see it because it's so typical of she's not strong enough to go up against her sister. Well, she's the only one who can. We must believe in her. And then someone who was not strong enough becomes strong enough.
And does it, yeah. What do you think about the possibility of, because she didn't go through the ascension ceremony, it's the reason why May seems to have much more of a grasp on the Force?
And I think that's part of it. Yeah. But I also think because May used her pain as rage, and it seems like Osha used her pain as an excuse to not go. Like for Osha, her pain and loss was like a block, like she couldn't move forward, and for May, it became her source of her strength. Yeah. Like from Vox Machina, where does your power come from? Power comes from a rage. So, like, it's. I think because I don't think May's. I don't think Osha's gonna like find someone to complete the ascension, but I think it will. It would definitely play in a couple episodes, but I think what also plays into it is the fact that Osha still blames herself. It seems slightly,
yeah.
And May blames everyone else.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny too. I think it was episode 2 where you see Master Soul try and check Osha like, this is grief. You need to let go. And it was like, fool, you didn't let go. You still got you got the holographic little picture of her still. Like, you're not letting go, but you're telling her to let go of something.
I'm really interested in Osha's kind of lack of force strength, even being with the Jedi for as long as she was.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in if there is going to be a final fight between Osha and May. I would love to see, like, I'm sure you guys have not seen this movie, but there's a Tinkerbell movie. And the Tinkerbell movies are fire, okay, first of all. But the point of it was that, like, she was amongst other fairies, and all the fairies had actual magical abilities. Tinkerbell didn't really have magical powers. She was a tinker fairy, so she could build things. And I feel like,
oh, I have seen that. I have god siblings that are younger than me. I watched it with them. It was years ago.
I bring it up to mirror kind of what I would kind of hope for a dynamic to see, like in the final fight between Osha and May. Like, if Osha does not get a grip on her force strength, like that would be interesting. Like, if that never comes around for her, like, but she learns how to kind of figure out like machinery, like her way around machinery and like she puts stuff together. She builds things. That's very interesting. Of course, I don't know how much that'll hold up against like an actual force witch, but it could be. I think that'd be an interesting fight.
If they end up teaming up, I hope. What do you do? If they end up teaming up, I hope they do it before one of them's incapacitated, because I'm kind of tired of that trope. Like, they're fighting enemies. They're fighting whoever the actual Sith is, and then one of them gets hurt really bad, and that forces May to turn on the Sith, and then
Oh God, no! Please don't please don't do that.
What if May becomes a Sith because the woman who created her,
yeah,
she's one of the Darth
the
Maul,
Zabrak,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
What if that's the thing?
yeah.
Yeah.
But supposedly they're not connected to the witches of Dathomir, which I find interesting. And I'm like, well, why'd you throw a Zabrak in there? Because you knew people were going to make that connection.
Because she went away from her culture, but her daughters can't, huh? I'm just guessing. I have no idea about what her culture was. I'm so sorry. I hope I did not offend anyone. Please don't flame me.
I hope it comes back though. I hope they do make a point to do a roundabout with the fact that she's of those people, and that it should have some kind of connection to what passes through. If she was the one who created it, like she didn't carry them, but she helped create them. So some of her,
them.
yeah,
she was their mom in some way, shape, or form. She's on their
something of hers has to pass through to them. So I hope they don't drop the ball on making that connection.
Yeah.
So I apologize in advance for people not for what I'm about to say. The red and black paint is his skin color. That's not paint.
You know, that's his skin.
Huh.
Because his brother is brown. Yeah.
I thought that was right this entire time. If you've never
what's his name Lord doing on screen with all his red and black paint?
If you've never heard anything from me, I don't enjoy Star Wars. I have watched it for other people, never for my own enjoyment. So I've never deep dived. I didn't even know those were like out of his head. I thought he just put them there.
No, horns. You know, Mother Coral has the horns.
I did in my mind. That was all makeup. So I just thought she was a different alien. I did not know there was a correlation. Oh, mind blown.
Yeah, they're different color Zabraks. Because his brother, Savage Opress, he's got different skin tone than even Maul has. So yeah, that's what they are.
It's very interesting. I'm interested in that race of people in Star Wars. I want to know about them.
I thought it was paint.
That's crazy, man. You thought these people in the sci-fi world was putting on makeup and horns for fun?
Yes, it's Star Wars. They wear
Hope we get a little more action next episode, and that we get to see y'all are having a ball over here over this makeup. He's the Sith, the Sith that had the makeup. Hold on, I can't fight you. Let me get this compact out, put this touch of my red paint up.
Tell me it's far-fetched for Star Wars for that to not be true. Tell me I'm not crazy.
The design is very Star Wars. And you know what? I can even understand why you would think that, because sometimes the special effects makeup, you can see that it's makeup, and sometimes it's not always seamless. Yeah. Like sometimes aliens in movies look too human, where you can't always tell that they're aliens. So I can.
Please, someone else in the comments tell me you didn't know that was his skin color. Please, someone else agree with me.
See if anyone pops in the chat of the 6 or 7 people watching this. Any of y'all
they had to have different noses. They had to have different noses for you to think they were aliens and not just makeup.
I just thought he was really meta. Like,
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Do you think when are we gonna? I'm hoping this next episode we get to see exactly what the Jedi did.
Yes, I really do too, because
that's the last piece of the puzzle, so we can know why May is so heated. Aside from her obsession with her sister,
unless they didn't do anything, and it's their lack of not saving them is why they have guilt. Which also with Goody Two Shoes, yes, it would be whack. But with Goody Two Shoes, sometimes we couldn't save them, and they have guilt, and they carry the guilt from not being able to save people as if they did something wrong.
It's very dramatic.
Disney, no.
It's very dramatic, and it's poor writing. Find a better reason to to be guilty.
Yeah, no, I want them to have done something.
Yeah.
Like actively, like we offed them in this way. We knew it was wrong, but thought somehow we were doing the right thing, which is doesn't make any sense, but happens, I guess.
They have to deserve this guilt.
Yeah.
They need massacre guilt, not we didn't save them guilt.
Yeah. I need them to have tried to actually genocide these people and then feel bad about it later. And then they try.
Or maybe you're what you were saying. Well, if he did it to all of them, like he Jedi mind tricked them into drinking the poison. But I also know that perhaps this was kind of a strange defense mechanism because Coral was worried about anybody else finding out exactly how they created these girls.
That's
so
true.
Perhaps to escape, death was the only escape they had to keep them from having to pay. But I mean, I don't know what they thought they were going to do. That's the other thing. Like, what did you think these people were going to come do to you if they find out what you did? That's worse than you killing yourself.
The world may never know.
No, because they're gone. Unless they bring them back, which we know they can do. Somehow Palpatine's returned.
Palpatine returned. Okay.
Somehow the witches are back.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, but yeah, we need to find out what the Jedi did. Overall, what do you think of this episode?
I thought it was interesting. I didn't have any context for the Force witches, so I was like, "Oh, these are cool." Yeah. And so the conflict was like unfolding in front of me instead of me having context of the lore of Star Wars for real. So I was just like, "Oh, okay, these are Force witches." No one's talking to this girl about why she's upset. And then the Jedi show up and like, oh, okay, they beefing. Oh, okay. Like this stuff just happened in front of me. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And so I like you, I feel like I need a really good reason for the Jedi to be on the kind of time they're on right now. Because at least all I've known of the Jedi from the stuff I've seen is that they're supposed to be the good guys.
They're criminals right now.
They're criminals right now, and so I'm like,
stalking.
Okay.
They broke and entered. He said they sliced into the level or whatever. Like, so they actually hacked in to the platform that they were in and just invited themselves in. Like nobody even invited them in. They just made themselves at home.
They're definitely like not great cops in this episode. I can definitely agree with that. And this is prior to like the movies.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I wonder if we're gonna get a resolution as to what, like, did they change in the movies, or or have they always been kind of like had bad cop energy in the movies, or just was I not paying attention?
Yeah, sometimes, because basically in my eyes, if you look at some of the other things, Obi-Wan is kind of the good cop and Anakin was like the bad cop, the younger brash one of the crew.
Right. I need to rewatch these movies. I need to
let's just talk to him and see what happened. Anakin's like, no, let's get down. Kick the door open. I'm gonna pull my lightsaber out. We're gonna handle this real quick.
We're gonna get active.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this episode for the fact that it didn't really feel like Star Wars. It felt like a murder space cult magic, and that was like totally my jam. So points for that.
Yeah.
I am very curious to know who the Sith is that May is following. I'm going to have to disagree. I don't think it's Soul. I think
I don't think it is either, but
well, I'm disagreeing with that theory the people that's out in the ether. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to see what the main issue is. I hope that it's not just literally they couldn't save them in time. I want there to be like a little bit of a battle. Earn your guilt. Don't have useless guilt. Earn the guilt. Have righteous guilt.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to see Osha hug her sister because May needs medical help. mental health. She needs what passes as a sanitarium up there because the girl is crazy.
Yeah, she's
The
out
girl's
there.
crazy.
Yeah, I enjoyed the episode for what it was. It didn't bother me. The different perspectives on the lore, the Force. I wasn't bothered by that. The new Immaculate Conception with these twins didn't bother me at all. The fact that they found a way, because I think the thing is they were on the verge of extinction and they were looking for a way to kind of replenish their numbers, and they found a way through the Force to do it. So without y'all's help, we've got the gift of life, and we're gonna keep our traditions and our lifestyle going. Basically, that's why they're kind of making them pledge. Do you promise to keep these secrets and to basically further our heritage and keep safeguard our legacy? Basically, is what she's asking the girls in the Ascension. Um, but yeah, I need to see what happened with Tormund because he didn't look scarred up when we see his eyes go black. His face was still plain and his hairline was intact. So we see later he's scarred up on the one side of his face and it looks red and angry scarred. It's not like old white weird scar tissue we see him at the Jedi Temple.
Maybe he fell out a window.
He fell out a window. And we see him scarred up. I want to see how he got them scars because it was obvious that he got them right then. Because we've seen him a couple scenes before, nothing wrong with his face. Then we see him on the ship with Sol and Indara, and like I said, I paused the screen, looked at it, and you can see like he might have got mollywopped a little bit, so he wasn't as quick as everybody else was.
The people in the comments, you're good. Hopefully, someone got the window joke. Do you guys get the window joke?
Maybe he fell out a window. No.
Because he was the king from Game of Thrones, and he's
oh my goodness!
That was him. That was him. That was a brother.
He was Tommen.
He was Tommen.
Okay.
Man.
Or maybe he fell out a window.
Oh my god!
Hilarious.
I'm sorry, I couldn't let that joke die. I had to.
He killed himself twice. He killed himself twice. Oh man, he
did. Oh, he played roles. Both those two roles both killed themselves.
Oh, that's messed up. It's in the contract.
Came out this weekend too. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just couldn't let that joke like that.
It's all good. Yeah, so hopefully we get that, that other part of the perspective to see exactly what they did to start all this stuff. Because I know it didn't look like everything burnt to the ground. And it didn't look like they had blaster or lightsaber injuries on the Coven of Witches. So they did something. We just don't know what they did for Tormund to feel as guilty as he did, like you said, to off himself with the bunta poison. I guess hopefully we'll get that tomorrow. I think they release every Tuesday.
Yeah.
At 9. So tomorrow we'll be getting episode 4, and we'll come back and discuss that next week. No, it's not allowed, Jocelyn. No yawning. Not sleepy time. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know why everybody's fussing. The old stuff is out there. If you want to watch the old stuff, just go watch the old stuff. If you don't want to partake and watch this, simply just don't watch it. I don't get the kerfuffle over any of this stuff. And you don't own it. It's theirs to do with what they want. I'm sorry to tell you that.
In my everyday belief, if you're not reading or seeing what you want to watch,
make it yourself.
Make it yourself.
Yeah. I'm 100% in agreement with that. It's one of the reasons why I started writing, because I wanted to write my own stuff.
Same here.
Yeah.
So make it yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to chop it up with me about these things. Thank the 7 or 8 of you that have been online watching the live stream. We will upload the audio for this to Spotify under the Askari cast, and there will also be links in the description of every episode with links to our websites so you can check out our creative endeavors. We thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to be with us, and we will talk to you all next week.
Peace.